Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Madam Clerk, what's your time check?
12:58.
I may need you to help me with this agenda reading because I'm reading from my phone and it's like
Tiny.
tiny. I'll try to get through it though.
Okay. I can um I can post it if you allow me to share my screen. I can have it up as a side view if you need it, but that'll get distracting from who's talking.
Yeah, nah, let me try to deal with it as I have it. It's not an extensive agenda, but it might just take me a little long to read to read the items. How many council members we have in here?
Right now we have one, two, three, four.
Okay.
Councilwoman Hyatt, Councilman Fierstein, Councilwoman Bonanno, yourself.
Okay.
Council President, I have 1 p.m.
All right. I'm gonna give it 2 more minutes. One more minute. Do we have a flag of some sort for the flag salute? Little what?
In 1 moment.
Good day, all.
Hello.
What's that?
Good.
I think that's Angela. Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Raina, did we have anything for the flag?
I'm trying to get you a flag right now.
Okay. Also, Councilman Joyner just sent the email saying he can't get in. I don't know why.
Sure. I can resend him the link.
All right, Raina, I got a flag for you right here.
You got a flag for me?
Right here.
Okay. Perfect. Could you read Councilman Joyner's email real quick to see what's going on with him?
Yes. Hold on, please.
I guess just resend him the link.
I just put it in the chat if you need right now.
Make sure, maybe send him the sign in and the passcode separately, not in one email.
Oh, I just sent it to him, but I can send it to him again.
Yeah, because you gotta put those in separately.
All right. All right, while you're doing that, Ms. Harris, I'm getting started, okay?
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I hereby call this meeting to order. Can we please stand for the flag salute? I pledge allegiance
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the
of the
United
United States of America
and to the
and to
republic
the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
one nation, under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty and justice
for all.
for all.
Madam Clerk, could you please read the statement of public notice?
This meeting was called pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice about this meeting was sent to the Union County local source and the Star Ledger. In addition, copies of the notice were posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building and filed in the office of the township clerk. Notices on the bulletin board have remained continuously posted. Proper notice having been given, the township clerk shall include this statement in the minutes of this meeting.
Madam Clerk, could you take roll call, please?
Bonanno,
Present.
Fierstein,
Present.
Garrettson,
Here.
Hyatt,
Here.
Joyner. He is still trying to get in. And I don't know why he can't get in. Council Vice President Rios,
Here.
Council President Epps,
Here.
you have quorum.
Oh,
Thank you.
Daryl's joined.
You said Darrell's in?
It popped up that Daryl
I'm
Joyner
in.
joined.
I'm in.
Okay. Madam Clerk, just for the record, just note that Councilman Joyner's in.
Yes.
Thank you. Then, just for the record, just take a roll call for the directors as well.
Township Attorney Montilus,
Yes.
Business Administrator Smith,
Present.
CFO Jones,
Here.
OIC Cole, Fire Chief Perry, Rec Director Hardy, DPW Director Rosamano.
All right, please, for all those that didn't respond, please note as absent, so for the record.
Okay.
All right, before we get to the budget introduction, I just want to ask, is any council member, this is a yes or no response, we're going to take a roll call. Is any council member who wants to accept Mayor Diatrice's 13.7 budget proposal? Madam Clerk, roll call, just on that question alone, before we get started.
Could you repeat the question?
Is there any council member who wishes to accept Mayor's 13.7 tax increase in the budget proposal?
Council President,
Yes.
I understand the wording might be a little bit different. We're not accepting,
I'm sorry,
this
introduction.
meeting's not introduction, correct? Like,
Introduction. I'm sorry,
I
introduction.
think that should be noted, yeah.
Sorry, introduction, my correction, introduction. Still noted.
Are you trying to say is there anyone who wants to introduce this budget as is?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just trying to
Yes.
background.
Roll call. Madam Clerk, roll call on that question.
Bonanno,
No.
Fierstein,
No.
Garrettson,
No.
Hyatt,
No.
Joyner,
No.
Council Vice President Rios,
The state is give us a deadline for the introduction, not the adoption, the introduction of this budget. And then we work on it. So, my vote is yes.
Council President Epps,
No.
Okay.
Thank
No,
Thank you. All right, at this time, I want to, for excuse me, I'm reading from my phone. R 25 152, resolution authorizing introduction of municipal 2025 municipal budget. Can I get a motion?
I'm confused, Council President. What was this last vote for? Or what was
That
that roll
last,
call for?
that last roll call wasn't for what I stated, it was just simply for is anybody who wanted to pass the budget as it was presented. This one is just,
That, it's,
So,
okay.
Council President, if I may,
It's very, yeah, I don't know what that does. It's very misleading.
Council President,
yeah, Attorney Matilis.
good afternoon, sir. So I think it was Councilwoman Hyatt, and I wasn't paying attention to my phone that asked for a clarification. So the clarification was fine, but the procedure should have been by way of a motion and a seconded or not, as opposed to taking what I think appeared to be a straw vote, but that I think is creating a confusion with Vice President Rios. So if we're going to move forward with the motion now, I guess this would be the time to do it.
Okay, this is the motion now. I got the response I needed for the first one. This is the motion now for the budget introduction, R 25 152, our resolution authorizing introduction of 2025 municipal budget. I'm looking for the motion now for that, for the introduction, as was presented by the administration.
I'll make the motion to introduce the budget.
There's a second?
Second.
Councilman Firstein, before we, what's your recommendation from the Finance Committee in reference to this budget?
So having just received this a couple of days ago and trying to understand how we got to this point of having a 13.75% tax increase, we've had meetings with the auditor as early as 7:30 in the morning to try and hash out exactly where and what this means to us as a township, as the residents, and the next steps for the council. I will clarify that a letter was sent this morning to the DCA, and I can read that for you now. It was regarding the letter of introduction notice that they sent to us. And if it pleases the council, I'll just read this quickly. The letter says, "Dear Mr. Rogers, I'm writing to you in my capacity as finance chair of Hillside with deep concern and frankly disbelief over the fiscal situation that has just been thrust upon the governing body and the residents we serve. After months of repeated and unanswered requests for a budget presentation from the administration, the council was handed at the 11th hour on June 25th, 2025, a proposed budget that includes a 13.75% tax increase. This follows last year's 7% hike, compounding an already untenable burden on our residents. This is not just bad budgeting, it is a reckless abdication of fiscal responsibility. The lack of transparency and the administration's failure to engage the governing body in meaningful financial discussions earlier in the year has put us in a wholly unacceptable position. To present a double-digit increase with just days left before the state-mandated introduction deadline is not only irresponsible, it borders on administrative malpractice. The residents came out in droves to express their outrage, and rightfully so. People are frightened. Seniors and residents on fixed incomes have told us in no uncertain terms that they will lose their homes if this budget passes in its current form. The budget should have been introduced per local budget law in February or as permitted via extension by the end of March, when discussions and collaboration could have avoided such a major catastrophe. To receive it now, halfway through the year with this type of increase makes it almost impossible to make any material changes. While we acknowledge the department's June 9th letter requiring budget introduction by June 30th, I am respectfully appealing to your urgent assistance and guidance in the following ways. Number one, we are requesting a 2-week extension to allow the administration time to revise this proposed budget into something remotely responsible and humane without penalty or fine from the state. Number two, we request a meeting with the local finance board as well as the Hillside Finance Committee and administration to help us understand our options now and how we can assert appropriate checks and balances to avoid this kind of crisis going forward. We are prepared to meet as soon as possible. As a first-time finance chair, I am committed to doing this the right way. But I cannot in good conscience support a budget that results from such poor planning and disregard for the public that we are sworn to serve. I need your help to push back on what can only be described as an administrative failure and to give this governing body the time it needs to course correct. Thank you for your time and immediate attention. I await your reply and support any support you can offer during this critical moment. Signed, me, David Feuerstein, Finance Chair, Dr. Councilwoman Angela Garretson, and Councilman Darrell Joyner. This letter was sent this morning. We have not had a response yet, but we know there is a penalty for not introducing the budget at this time. However, it is my feeling that there is no way that I can allow this introduction with a 13.75% increase on the residents at this time.
Councilman First, that is very well said. I appreciate your work that yourself and the Finance Committee has done in reference to this.
Council President, if I may,
CFO Jones,
this is simply an introduction. This is not the final budget. So
Councilman
this
First.
is simply an introduction. This does not become permanent unless it's adopted as is.
I think we understand that.
Understood.
I think we understand. I think what Councilman First thing is saying is that it was irresponsible for you to present this in the first place. I think that's what the Finance Committee is saying, that it was very irresponsible to present this to the council in the first place. And what he's attempting to do, Councilman First thing, if I'm wrong, is give it back to you so you guys can make some type of an adjustment that actually is reasonable to the citizens of this township. Am I correct to assess that, Councilman First thing?
Yeah, and let me say it a little differently also. The council is ready to take on the penalty for not passing this today or not adopting this introduction today, in order that the administration, the finance team can go back and present a more palatable budget. To do this today, certainly after hearing the residents from the last meeting, would just be a terrible mistake.
Point of
Thank
clarification,
you.
if I may.
Dr. Garrison,
Thank you very much, Council
Councilman
President.
Rios, then Dr. One second, I'm sorry. Dr. Garrison and then
Rios can go.
Councilman
No, he
Rios.
can, Rios can
No.
go. And then I
It's,
was next.
it's fine.
Okay.
It was just, mine's quick. Just point of clarification, Mr. Councilman Feuerstein stated that council is willing to observe the penalty. Those penalties are per the individual. It's not as a council body as a whole. So I would reflect that change to each council member be polled as well as if to or they are willing to be fined for this late introduction or not approving the introduction of this budget, as opposed to stating as council as a whole, please.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I accept.
But actually, that was never stated in the letter. It was not clearly stated that it was, and we can look at the state letter. It did not indicate it would be individually or collective.
It's
It just said
personal.
governor, but it did not
No.
state that in the letter.
It's, if you look at the statute, it's personal. Every individual in the council. If you look at the statute, I just looked it up.
We do, I know that it did happen in a town not too long ago, but it did not necessarily also reference, was the statute referenced in the letter? Can we just confirm?
It does.
In
Yeah.
the letter from the DCA, it says, I'll read the sentence, specifically, a personal penalty of $25 per day will be assessed for each day the budget remains introduced after June 30th, 2025. I'm happy to take a roll call. I'm happy to take a fine for $25 a day and not raise 13.75% on the taxpayers today. If it takes,
Right.
3 days or a week, I would give you that time. I'm happy to take on that tax penalty for the benefit of the residents, and we can poll the council to see if everyone's in agreement.
I would do the same thing. So thank you, David, for the clarification. And I think that's not the most important thing. I think the comment I wanted to add, we don't have to poll next, but my comment, Council President, was specifically that the budget was irresponsible and that many of the increases did not come with any backup information or documentation. So it was not just that there was a 14% almost 14% increase, but many of the details in the large tickets that would increase the burden on the taxpayers, there's not really a lot of clarity. So the numbers were presented without the appropriate context. The Finance Committee met with a few of the departments, but we did not talk or be able to dig into some of the larger numbers that were presented. So the larger numbers are many of the problems. And so we did not have an opportunity to have any discussion on what was presented. We only got conversation on items that were not necessarily impacting the budget to this magnitude.
Understood.
Thank you.
All right, so your recommendation, Councilman First thing, just summarize it one more time, please.
You're muted.
You're muted.
I feel at this time, as a finance chair, I would not be able to pass this introduction. And it's my recommendation that we allow the administration time to go back and clean this up and come back with a more palatable number.
Can I ask a question?
Councilman Joyner?
With this fine, how long is it going to take them to come back? Because I'm not paying no fine for no town. I don't care how much the taxes go up. I'm not paying no fine for somebody else's recklessness.
Council President, if I may, point of order, sir.
Attorney Matulis?
Thank you, Council President. Just to offer some clarity, and I'm not, because I did hear Council President's statement that you are aware that this is an introduction, so I'm not certainly meaning to be demeaning at all. Just to offer some clarity and to piggyback off of what CFO Jones had earlier stated, and I'm sure the council is well aware. And this is simply an introduction, and there certainly is time to go back and to do any amendments or any redactions or addition or edits that would be appropriate, as opposed to risking personal and collective penalty by not introducing the budget today. Now, while I understand and I've heard everyone's concerns, again, to point out that this is an introduction, it may be viewed, and I'm not saying it would be, but it may be viewed as equally as irresponsible to not introduce the budget and to want to incur penalties on behalf of the township, whether individually or not, simply because we didn't introduce a budget. This is not acceptance. This is simply an introduction. So I don't know if, Council President, you would want CFO Jones to further elaborate. And I do understand, I believe Mr. Swisher is also here for further elaboration on the process at this point, and what, if any, harm it would cause the township to simply introduce it as opposed to accepting monetary penalties.
I'll let Mr. Swisher talk since he's here, and then I'll let CFO Jones follow up with that.
Thank you, sir.
So I do know of a town that had this problem last year. The fines are on the individual and not on the township. Okay, so this is not going to, no matter what happens, it doesn't incur costs on the township. Secondly, the council has to vote to introduce, and council is correct in as much as you still have the opportunity between introduction and adoption to make whatever changes you like. However, council is voting on a document, and they have to say up or down. And if they don't understand that document, I think that there's some reluctance on behalf of some of the council people. They don't want to vote on something that they don't understand. Okay, so yes, you're correct in as much as that there is time to change it afterwards, and it's just, okay, just go ahead and do it. And over the course of the years in the township, that has been done sometimes, and sometimes we hold off on it. But again, I think that the reluctance on some council people's position is, how do I vote yes or no on something that I don't have all the facts on? And I think that that's the concern. I'll let the council people speak for themselves, but it's important to note for the fine, in my understanding, to support Councilman Rios's position, is on the individual. So every single one in the case, just to be a little bit clearer, the case that I know of, they fined the people that voted no, and did not fine the people that voted yes. Okay, that's one instance that I heard last year. I do not believe there's been changes to the law subsequent, but there would not be a penalty on the township. It's on the individual.
All right, thank you. CFO Jones?
I'm going to disagree that there's no backup. I sent, a very thick package along with the budget. If there are any questions, you could ask after introduction, before adoption, if there's anything that's unclear. But there's no harm in introducing this budget.
Okay. Any other? I'm sorry.
I have a question. So if we accept the introduction, you still can go back and do whatever you have to do to change the number, right?
No, that's up to the council to change numbers. If there's something the council wants to change, it's up to the council. And I just follow through with what council does at that point.
So I think to answer Councilman Joyner's question, that yes, you can, after introduction, go back and do whatever you want to do with respect to the numbers. Again, piggybacking off of Mr. Swisher's point, to the extent that you understand what it is that you're voting on today to introduce it, you can make whatever changes you want prior to adoption. And I also wanted to thank Mr. Swisher for that clarification with respect to the penalties. And I think that's something that needs to be stressed out. And I haven't looked at the case that is referenced by Mr. Swisher, but to the extent that you vote yes, I guess you would not be penalized. Those that vote no would be. So I'd have to take a closer look at that case. But I thank Mr. Swisher for that information.
Council President,
Councilwoman Hyatt?
thank you. Question to Mr. Montalus, specifically, what constitutes introduction? Is it that we are obligated to vote? Is it that we are obligated to vote in the affirmative? What specifically constitutes introduction? Because, and the reason I'm asking this question is because even with the fines and penalties, of course, I would take issue because, and by issue, I mean with the state. Let me be specific. I would take issue with fines from the state on the council for being tardy in introduction, but there have never been any fines to the municipality or the administration or the mayor when they have introduced late. So I want this clarification specifically so that we have full understanding, concise information, and a basis for which we move forward. Thank you.
So, Councilwoman Hyatt, good afternoon, ma'am. If I'm hearing your question correctly, and if my answer is not directly to your question, please let me know. But if you're asking me if the budget is introduced, but certain individuals vote no, are they still financially penalized? Is that your question?
No. My question is, what specifically does the law say is the first step of the budget process? That makes it a little cleaner. What
For
specifically?
introduction.
Yeah,
What
so
would be today introduction?
and what specifically are the steps to introduce the budget according to the law?
So there would be as we're doing right now, there would be a vote, a call for a vote. It would be voted on. To the extent that it's voted on and the vote passes, it's introduced.
Only if it passes.
Correct.
So in the
Mr.
event
Swisher.
that it fails, it is not considered an introduction.
Correct. And Mr. Swisher, can you confirm that?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And once again, I defer to Township Council, but you need a majority of full memberships to introduce. If that resolution is put up, moved, and is voted down, you don't get the required votes, then the budget is not introduced.
Correct.
I had my hand up before, Council President, but I know you might not have seen it. To Councilman Rio's point about its individual, and we started this line of conversation, the letter that was drafted to the mayor and to the governing body actually does not say it is going to happen. It say it may happen. I believe the chair of the Finance Committee has that letter. He did also indicate that he sent a letter to the state today because this action, if it is affirmative or not affirmative, I just want to make sure that everyone is clear. We're having a conversation about what may happen. They did not definitively say they will do this, although they could do this, but the letter did not indicate that. So when I raised the point, I didn't ask about what the language that it was individual, which we've spent a lot of time on. I specifically was asking about what was the process as well. So Chairman, do you mind reading the specific line about it may happen, but it does not mean that it will happen? And we are in conversation, or I know you are in conversation, so that we can discuss a number of issues that, yes, you provided a packet, but some of the information was not addressing many of the residents' concerns. It was not addressing the council person's concerns. We said we would take the weekend to do our due diligence based on what you did provide to us, and it was still lacking. That is the point. I think that what we are trying to do is trying to have a full picture of what can be cut. I know the chairman of the finance committee with myself and Darrell Joyner were present, asked you numerous times, what could the administration live with if you tried to cut it? You said nothing. You said you had nothing that you can cut, and this was the budget. And so we disagree. We believe that if you're telling us today that there are areas the council can introduce and then just cut it, we asked you also, how could it be cut? And you gave us no guidance. So we now have done a deeper dive. We have identified areas of information that lacked, and we believe that we need more time. And also, we need collaboration with the administration. This can't be just all in.
Dr. Garrison, I think you're breaking up a lot. Dr. Garrison? All right, for everybody that speaks, I can't see anybody on the screen, but your video should be activated, especially council members. Your video should be on, unless you're driving or something, your video should be on. I cannot see everybody when you talk, but it just brought to my attention that some members are not on screen when they're speaking. You should be on screen.
I'm in a vehicle.
I am also.
No
I'm on
problem.
screen. So what part was missed? Because I had 2 points, which is, David, could you please read the portion of the letter that says may? It did not say that it was actually going to fine us. It said it may fine us. And it very well may, but it did not say it will fine us.
Correct. It says it will be assessed.
Okay.
All right.
And then the second part that I brought up was that the CFO stated that he gave us information, and I said, with doing a deeper dive, there's still information that lacked.
Okay. Got it. Any other comments questions from the council members or the finance committee? If not, we have
Council President,
Councilwoman Bonanno.
may I have the name of the municipality that did receive fines so I can do some research?
Certainly. It's a matter of public record. It was Bradley Beach.
Bradley
Last year.
Beach,
Bradley Beach.
South Jersey. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the council?
Yes, I have some, Council President.
Councilwoman Hyatt?
Thank you. I just want to say of this budget, on record of this budget, that there are some areas that show increases in amounts that are extremely high. Specifically, the insurance costs. For insurance to increase over $2 million from one year to the next is a clear indication that somebody made a bad decision somewhere. Something went wrong administratively. Something went wrong in a way where we need to find out what happened. It can't be explained that it's just insurance costs, because no one else's administration, no one else's municipality, no one else's budget in their insurance line went up by $2 million. Your insurance is a direct correlation to the number of employees that you have and the cost of insurance, your ratables, and things like that. So if we had an increase in employees, then employee salaries, that's a line item we should have been talking about before these decisions were being made to employ all these people. If it's not related to that, we still would need to know specifically what it's related to. And just in reviewing the budget, there's about $800,000 worth of expenses in there, for which, to the point of the finance committee, I don't know if there were any specifics listed somewhere else, but those are not expenses that were included in the support documentation that was provided to the full council. I see some salary increases, which I know and understand relate to the fact that we're a civil service town and that our contracts often dictate that there are raises that are required. But there are plenty of things that the administrative could have done as a proactive approach to ensure that the difference wasn't as large as it is, including making a thought or bringing forth to the council a discussion about whether or not we wanted to seek the opportunity to say to the different unions, hey, maybe we need to sit down at the table and renegotiate some things. Maybe we need to renegotiate whether or not they can get an increase in the coming year. Maybe we need to try to renegotiate whether or not we need to do furloughs or whatever opportunities are available. But to present 13.75% to a population that is majority seniors who do not have children in the school system is totally, utterly, and completely irresponsible. And you can put whatever on it that you want to put on it, it will not change that fact. And it does show that people have not put forth the effort that they could to make the decisions that were in the best interest of this township. Thank you, Council President. That concludes my comment.
You're welcome. Thank you, Councilwoman Hyatt. Any other comments from the council? Right now we have a motion and a second to sorry, to accept this introduction of the budget. I'm going back and forth on my phone, guys. Forgive me. The budget introduction, the resolution authorizing introduction of 2025 municipal budget. That's what we're voting on at this time. Madam Clerk, could you take the roll call, please?
Okay, motion by Council Vice President Rios, second by Councilman Joyner. Banano?
I emphatically stand with my township, my community, my residents, and I vote no.
Fierstein?
No.
Garrettson?
Absolutely not. No.
Hyatt?
No.
Joyner?
I'm here. We're voting on to accept the introduction.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna say yes.
Council Vice President Rios?
Yes, on the exception of the budget.
Council President Epps?
No.
Motion fails.
Thank you.
Council President?
Council VP Rios?
Clerk, there's our clerk on here. Oh, see here, Raina.
Yes, I'm here.
Can you do me a favor and due to the confusion of the straw vote, change my vote to a no? Again, the premise of us, accepting the budget and working on it. I was not under the impression of a straw vote on the amount of increases, which we don't want. I don't want a 13% tax increase. Our job is to now take that budget and work it down and hopefully, work with the administration. But I would like to see my vote to a no, because no, we do not want this big of a tax increase. That's not our job. But our job is to accept the budget and work with the administration to bring this down. So in regards to that straw vote, which was confusing, please change my vote.
Okay.
Thank you.
Maybe I should change mine as well. Because I thought it was just accepting, saying we got a budget. I'm not accepting the 13.7 at all.
You
There was a reference to the straw vote. There was a reference to the straw vote when you said
I'll vote.
Councilman.
Voted no.
You voted no, Councilman
You're
Joyner.
good.
Yes, just change me to no.
You were
You were a no.
You already
Okay.
know.
Okay.
All right. Payment of bills, April 8th through June 25th, 2025. Can I get a motion? Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second? All right, seeing there's no second, let's move on. Minutes, May 13th to May 28th, 2025. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Okay, it's accepting the minutes. Can I get a second?
Second.
Any questions from the council in reference to the minutes? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, roll call.
Banano?
Yes.
Fierstein?
Yes.
Garrettson?
Yes.
Hyatt?
Yes.
Joyner?
Yes.
Council Vice President Rios?
Yes.
Council President Epps?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Public hearing and adoption. Can I get a motion over the floor for ordinance 25-14 and ordinance regulating tobacco and nicotine delivery products in the township of Hillside? Can I get a motion?
I move to open public hearing.
Can I get a second?
Second.
At this time, the floor is open to the public in reference to this ordinance, adoption of this ordinance, and this adoption of this ordinance only. Please signify that you want to talk by raising your hands with the feature on Zoom. Madam Clerk, let me know if you see any hands, please.
As of right now, I do not see any hands and I do not see any comments in the chat.
All right. That being said, okay, wait a minute. Somebody said something in the chat.
Yeah, Maricel. Bell.
All right. 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 All
He
And
can't
also,
raise.
Ms. Watson also has her hand raised.
Okay.
All right.
Don't.
You see Marisol?
Yes. She's allowed to speak. Um, she's not in the waiting room. She should be able to. I'm asking her to unmute.
Hi, I'm here. I just had a question that kind of relates to the budget. Has Hillside ever
No,
performed
Ma'am,
no.
we're doing
the what?
this is in reference to the public hearing and adoption of this ordinance we just talked about.
Oh, sorry, never mind.
No problem. I think Ms. Watson.
Never mind. I thought this was the time to ask questions about the budget. Which ordinance is this? Are you all
This
talking about?
an ordinance regulating
Nicotine.
tobacco and nicotine delivery
Oh,
products.
no,
Council
no,
President,
sorry.
Council President, I'm sorry to interrupt, if I may.
Yes.
My apologies, Council President. I had spoken with the clerk's office. That ordinance has not yet been amended, so I'm not sure why it's being discussed now.
I didn't know that.
And Council President, I didn't know it either.
I didn't know that.
Catherine told you,
My
Raina,
office did not receive a revised version, and I was out of the office most of the morning.
but Catherine talked to you this morning.
She talked to me briefly saying that it was forthcoming, and nothing came.
Okay, so it hasn't been edited yet, Council President. My apologies.
All right, I need a motion. I apologize to the public.
I have a question, Council President.
I don't know who's talking right now. I'm sorry.
Andrea Hyatt is talking right now. I'm sorry, a plane is overhead. I can wait until it passes, but before we move forward, I do have a question.
Councilwoman Hyatt, you got the floor. Councilwoman Hyatt, you got the floor.
Thank you. So the changes that you are speaking of, Attorney Montelis, are these changes that can't be brought forth after it's passed as an amendment? Because we did talk about having this prepared and ready for today.
Correct. So it cannot be brought back, Councilwoman Hyatt, and I did, and my apologies. I know you had contacted me on Friday. I got back to you a little late, so I apologize. But no, I'd rather the amendments be prepared for consideration before the second vote. My assistant did start making the edits in my direction today, and I told her to advise the clerk's office that it would be ready for second reading at our next meeting. So if we can please have it remain postponed.
But see, that's part of the problem. We keep saying everything's going to come at the next meeting, and the next meeting date comes, but the changes and the things that are required do not. So
But
how
if
is
you
it going to
remember,
be
Council,
this time?
my apologies. My apologies for interrupting you. So if you remember, Councilwoman, this is a special meeting that was called last week because of the issue we had with the budget. This meeting was not, it was never going to be on today.
Well, this meeting also happened because the last meeting had these agenda items and we ended without completing the agenda, right?
I don't believe that this was on last week. This was not on last week for second reading. I don't believe.
Last week, Attorney Montelis.
It was. It was.
We did not table this ordinance, so the public hearing was on. I
For
believe
last meeting.
what have done it was table it.
Right,
but we had additional days. I was told that we would have the edits in time.
Right,
and
but at the beginning,
and this morning I was told that the edits would be prepared before the meeting.
and Councilwoman Hyde, if you remember, I had spoken with you briefly before we started the meeting, and I advised you that we couldn't go forward with the ordinance last week. At the last meeting, it would have to be amended.
Right.
So we did have a brief conversation. Right, which I did not anticipate that the next meeting would have been 4 days later. So that's my fault. But
I certainly appreciate the apology. I do. But is your employee full-time?
she is, but she was out of the office last week, so I wasn't able to communicate my desired changes with her until again this morning, which she started working on.
Okay, thank you. I'll
Yes,
put the
ma'am.
rest of what I want to say in writing.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, so Attorney Montelis, you want us to pull this at this time because it's not ready?
I would ask for it be postponed and that you keep public comment open till the second reading, the next meeting.
Okay, right now,
But
the
we're-
floor, right now, the floor is open for public comments, so we should close that at this time.
Yes.
All right,
I'll make the motion to close public comments.
I'll second it.
Second.
All
For
in
the
favor?
record, we're closing the no, he doesn't want us to close the
So,
public hearing.
I
He
think
wants
the
us to
proper
keep it open.
I think the proper motion would be to motion to table with an understanding that public hearing will remain open for
Since it's
further
already-
discussion.
Okay, no, it's not.
Okay,
So I move to keep public hearing open and to table this ordinance until the next meeting, whereby
Hey,
all
Judge.
documentation will be provided.
all right, I'll second that.
Wait, who's the second?
Give it to Councilman first, then.
Okay.
All right, any questions from the council?
Please include in the notes with the expectation that all documentation will be provided prior to the next council meeting.
All right,
And just for the record, if I can have the date of the next council meeting, either from the clerk or whomever.
I'll have the clerk forward that to you.
Thank you.
All right, any questions from the council?
No, sir.
I see, Madam Clerk, roll call.
Banano,
Okay, this is a roll call for
the
The
table.
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 To table.
Table. And
Motion to
keep the
table.
public hearing open.
yes. Okay. Yes to
Pierce?
table.
Yes, the table.
Garrettson,
Yes.
Hyatt,
Yes.
Joyner,
Yes, the table.
Vice President Rios,
Yes.
Council President Epps.
Yes, the table.
Okay, motion to table and public hearing remains open. Passes.
All right, before I move forward to rest, I know I have public waiting to make comments. I want to I want to go to the public comment portion of this before we finish out the agenda. So at this time, I want to get a motion to open up the floor to public comments.
So moved.
Get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, at this time, the floor is open to public comments. Please use the Zoom feature with the show of hands. If you cannot, use the chat button, and we will recognize you that way. I think the Madam Clerk will be timing the individuals talking. And at this time, please state your name and your address. At this time, the floor is open for public comments. Madam Clerk, I can't see everybody. If you can acknowledge, I do see
Artie Colbert.
I do see Mr. Cobus.
Am I good?
You're good.
Good evening, good afternoon, as I should say. And through Council President, I would just like to give a comment to the Finance Chair so he knows. I mean, you guys are either going to cut or not cut. David, you weren't around, but I can tell you in the past years, because union contracts are different, a couple of years ago, they had a part-time department head in the Public Works Department. He was able to run it for 6 hours a week. Back in '98, when this form of government was turned over to the Faulkner Act, they had a part-time business administrator. I remember when Angela was the mayor, we also had a part-time CFO. A lot of money could be saved if we go to part-time people for now. I mean, I hate to see anybody lose their job, and it's not personal, but I just looked at what your tax increase is, and without any cuts, my tax bill is going to go up $400 a quarter. I don't want to pay that. And that's all I want to say. So that's something you may want to consider, but again, if you can't, you can't. Thank you.
I
Thank
see
you.
Ms. Watson, who has her hand also raised at this time.
Reba Watson, 830 Jerome Avenue. My first question is, Councilman Furstein, he stated that he sent the letter to the state asking for an extension because he got the budget on the 25th at the 11th hour. So my question is, why wasn't that email sent Thursday or Friday, the 26th or the 27th? Why are we waiting? Not we. Why did he wait to the 11th hour this morning prior to his meeting? That's my first question. My second question is the budget process, because it is my understanding that the administration should introduce the budget and then the council make the cuts. And I've heard Councilwoman Garrison and Councilwoman Hyatt both say they had suggestions, where to make cuts and things like that. So my question is, and I get it, the administration is not sitting down. That's what I'm understanding with the finance people. But aren't we in the part of the process where now you all supposed to say, okay, we looked at it, this is what we recommend to cut, and then, start the interactive dialogue that way? Those are my two questions for now.
That's my first thing. Could you answer Ms. Watson's questions, please?
Yeah, sure. When we started looking at this in more detail over the weekend, the thought was, let's scramble and try to get this done as quickly as possible. Just to understand what that means when you talk about a budget of this size and we're talking about an increase like this, there's a lot of work to do. And while the council and the finance committee, I should say, had taken the preemptive measure to meet with the department heads as much as possible, we still have not met with all the department heads. So we're trying to work in a vacuum and make the best decisions we can possible. So when on seeing that we weren't going to get this done or did not want to pass this morning, the effort was made to reach out to the state. In addition, a phone call was made to them last week, and the discussion started about what to do about this, but that had not ended in a definitive manner. So we wanted to pursue it again and see maybe we can get an extension. There was no harm in asking for it. I'm not sure if we're going to get it or not. The real ask here is for them to come in and work with us side by side to figure out where we can make cuts. We have found areas where we can make some cuts, and it's disappointing that that wasn't shown from the administrative side. But we definitely have some areas where we can cut. So the reason that was not this morning is because the discussion started on Friday and continued to today. What was the other question, Reva? Oh, as part of the process, I just want to bring this out to people's attention. The reason, in my mind, why it's a little bit risky to introduce this at this point is because supposing we do introduce it now, cuts that we want to make are not made, or the state comes in and says, we can't make it here, we can't make it there, time drags on. The state may say to us, because you accepted it, we're going to go with what the council accepted, regardless of the changes we want to make. That's a risk. That's a 13.75% tax increase risk, in my opinion. Since I don't have a definitive answer on what they will or will not do, we're trying to get clarity on that. But I've never seen in the last 10, 15 years that I've been here, an increase of this size. So it seemed a little bit irresponsible to rush to introduce it and potentially take on that risk of having this be passed later on.
Thank you, Councilman First. Ms. Watson, that's it for your questions?
No. I understand the risk and all that, but what I'm saying is nobody wants a 13.7 or 14% increase. But what I'm saying is, it seems like there's a lot of pointing the fingers back and forth. And the budget process should be articulated and clear to the community, because what's being communicated is that the administration is proposing a 13.7 increase, right? And the process is that they make their proposal and you all don't have to accept it, and then you all make cuts, recommendations, and that's where we are in the process. So I get what you're saying, that there's a possibility they make you take it. But with that being said, at some point, and I don't like to agree with people, but what Mr. Colbert said, at some point you got to just cut, because if you continue to pay and accept services, you're going to be on a hook for the we will be on a hook for the 13.7, as opposed to making a hard stop saying, listen, it's unfortunate and I hate to see anyone get laid off, lose their job or whatever. But at some point, the council will have to say, listen, we can't keep paying this, because if you keep paying it, then you're going to be on the hook to pay the 13.7%.
Can I speak to that?
Ms. Watson, were you done? Ms.
Yes,
Watson?
thank you. Yes, thank you, Council President.
Okay. Ms. Mitchell, I see your hand is up. Ms. Mitchell?
Yes, hi, how are you? Good afternoon, everyone. I just, I realize that with the budget, when they introduce it, that does not mean you're accepting that budget, correct? You're just introducing the budget. But the thing is, we can't keep doing, the administration administration cannot keep, sending this budget out late. And they do it deliberately, trying to force you to accept it. And we're not going to keep accepting, budgets, especially when you have little time to do anything about it. And people, in town have to realize that. If we get fined, it's because the administration waited. And they don't give the council any time at all to really review a budget. When you mess up money for a whole year, to turn around and fix it, within a couple of weeks is not going to do it. So I think that, you guys got to look at this budget because as you always all know, we're spending money that we haven't even budgeted for, and we do it every year. And the taxpayers should not have to be responsible for this foolishness. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mitchell. I think I have Ms. West.
Sorry, Chairman Epps, I've had my hand, I can't show the hand on my screen, but I've been waiting for a number of times. So can I go after Ms. West?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ms. West,
Hi, I could.
Ms. West,
I'm unmuted now.
Yes, are you able to activate your video?
Yes, give me 1 minute, second. Hi, everyone. So I looked at the budget and it seems that the bulk of the increase is due to health insurance costs and which, is tied directly to personnel. I heard someone say that years ago we had part-time positions, but has Hillside ever done a manpower study to see if we are employing the correct number of people for the departments in the township that we have?
CFO Jones, you might be the best person to answer that question.
Council President, respectfully, this is like the hearing after the 30 days, what we're doing right now. So I'm not going to speak on a budget that's not introduced. It just doesn't make sense. We're just going outside of the procedure here.
I don't think that was her question, but okay. Ms. West, I'll take note of your question. I'll see if I can get the answer for you.
Okay.
I don't have the answer for you at this time.
No problem. That was it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. West. I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. Did you state your name and address so my clerk has it?
Marissa Bell West, 36 Herndon Street.
All right. Thank you, Ms. West.
Thanks.
Madam Ms. Rowe, can you, thank you. You up?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. This is Barbara Rowan. I'm at 950 Westminster Avenue here in Hillside. I just wanted to thank all of the council members for your careful due diligence about this budget and the increase, and especially our representative, David Fierstein. This is outrageous. And the fact that the administration is giving you the budget at the last minute and restricting your time to actually approve anything or question anything is also outrageous. I think it's about time we lasso them and pull them back to where they need to be. This has to be a responsible budget. We have, as Chairman Epps has mentioned, we have a lot of senior citizens in this town, and they can't afford that kind of an increase. We're having a hard time just making ends meet as it is. We spend $20,000, over $20,000 a year for Hillside taxes, and I'm not paying a cent more. So I really appreciate your due diligence on this. I appreciate all the comments that were made, and especially Andrea Hyatt, because I know she really knows the numbers, she really knows the budgets. So thank you very much for your due diligence, and I will try to get more of our neighbors into the next session so that you can hear their comments as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Rowan. Any other, I see a hand, but I don't see the name. Madam Clerk, do you see the name? I can't see the name.
Orlando
Quinones, 1197 South State Street. And I apologize, my camera is, sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I was going to talk about your camera. You said it's not working.
My camera is malfunctioning, so I apologize. But I just had a quick question. Here on South State Street, I have a view of the pool, on the Central Avenue pool. I was just curious, is there any update on When, I know they're working hard on it. When's that opening? Or is it still scheduled to open this year?
Is Ms. Smith on? B.A. Smith?
She's on.
A minute. Yes. Hello. Good afternoon. Yes, the spray park is still scheduled to open. I don't have a definitive date. There's a couple of things that with plumbing and electrical work that has to be completed. But yes, it will be open during the summer season. And Council President, if I may, being that the residents have expressed concerns with regards to the budget, just make them aware that Mayor Vertrees plans on presenting the budget and having community meetings the week of July 14th.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, B.A. Smith.
You're welcome.
Mr. Orlando, I don't see your last name, so I apologize, but was that it for your questions?
Yes, thank you so much, Council President.
Just clarification, it's a spray park and not a pool.
Ms. Rowan, I think this is just a spray park, and proposally there's supposed to be the pool next year. That's phase 2. See, I don't. Anybody in the chat that wanna? Can you see anybody in the chat? Ms. Watson, I see your hand. I just wanted to know see if anybody's in the chat. I'll get to you to see if anybody's in the chat that want to talk.
Someone posted in the chat, Daniel Fleischer. I don't know if he's still there.
Madam Clerk, could you look? Because I can't see the chat box.
I don't see, I guess, Daniel note taker. No, that's your note taker. I don't see Mr. Kreischer. Oh, there he goes.
Yes, I'm here, and apologies for not having my camera on. I'm just driving right now. So just a couple of points on this. So first of all, just to reiterate what was said before about the administration, where, you know, they were extremely late, it seemed, in you know, putting the budget forward. And, you know, to me, it just seems kind of strange that, you know, I understand that the state has an ordinance in place where, you know, the council members can be fined if they're late. I don't know why there's no such thing for the mayor. If the mayor was supposed to present the budget in February, I think was what was said earlier. If the state doesn't have an ordinance, is it possible for the township to pass an ordinance to put some kind of accountability on the mayor and her administration so that if the budget is late and, you know, that she can be held accountable, you know, personally, you know, to fine her at the personal level the same way that the council members are fined now, so that we don't run into issues like this again. So that's the first question. Second point is, you know, I remember last year when we had was it about a 7% increase, and one of the explanations that was given was that the town had a surplus for a number of years and they had been running at a loss and had been, you know, taking from that surplus to make up the difference, and that the surplus was gone and that the taxes had to be raised in order to cover the costs. I'd imagine that, you know, with a proposed increase this year of the 13.75%, even if there are cuts made, we're not going to get that down to a 0% increase. There's going to be something. You know, our taxes are going to go up somewhat. And I just want or ask the township to please do a deep dive into our finances over the last number of years. I don't know how long the town was dipping into this surplus for until it got to the point where it was exhausted. But I don't want us to go through this every single year where the town keeps running at a deficit and our taxes keep having to go up. Let's figure out, where did the town start operating at a loss? What led to that? And what can we do to fix that so that we can plan for the future and not just go through this process every year? You know, if we do this 13%, or if the 13% increase does not pass this year, and instead, let's just say we get a 3 or 4% increase, are we going to be looking at a 3 or 4% increase every year for the next 5 years, which will put us back, you know, where we could have been this year? I don't want that to happen. I don't want us to have that just build slowly. Let's figure out what the town can do to make itself run, you know, to cut, you know, to break even, so that we're not running at a loss, so that we can keep the taxes relatively flat.
Thank you. Mr. Fisher, I'm not quite sure I heard your address. Mr. Fisher?
I'm sorry, what part didn't
I
you?
heard everything you had to say, but I might have missed when you stated your address.
Oh, I'm sorry, 211 Surrey Road.
Oh, okay. I heard your questions. CFO Jones, can you answer any of his questions at this time or no?
Again, Council President, we're having a hearing, which is post introduction, 30 days. So
Well, you're wrong. We're having public comments. But if you don't want to answer it, that's fine.
Council President,
I'm sorry. Who was that?
that is Clerk Harris.
Okay, Ms. Harris, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to point out that Attorney Montilus, his call dropped. He's in a dead zone. So he wanted you to be aware that he's no longer on the meeting at this time. He is trying to get back on, but he doesn't have any bandwidth right now.
Okay, no problem. Mr. Fisher, I heard your questions. I'll try to get back to you with some of those answers. Right now, CFO Jones, he can't answer it or won't answer it. I'll do my best to get the answers that you're looking for. Mr. Fisher?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. Thank you, sir.
And Mr. Fisher, I'll reach out to you as well. This is Andrea Hyatt.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Ms. Watson? Ms. Watson?
Raven Watson, 830 Jerome Avenue. Thank you for taking me a second time. My question is similar to the previous resident. So we've been going through these late budgets quite often, and I heard them say the statute that council members will get fined for voting no on the introduction. Are there any penalties, and who's responsible for assessing those penalties to the administration for introducing late budgets? And then my second question is, with this proposal, we're in the third quarter. So is it 13.7% for each quarter, or is it will it be divided for the rest of the year? But I hope we're not even I hope that's just me thinking, and you all are going to cut it and we get away from this 13.7%. Those are my two questions.
Thank you, Ms. Watson.
Thank you.
I think CFO Jones doesn't want to answer some of those questions as relate to the budget for whatever his reasoning is. I can get back to you and get the answers that you're looking for as soon as I can.
I can answer her questions if that's okay, Council President.
Councilwoman Hyatt?
Thank you. It would be up to the state whether or not to impose fines on both the council and the mayor, is my understanding of the statute. And your second question regarding what period the tax percentage increase is for the current tax year. So the 13.75 or whatever we reduce it down to will be for the entire tax year broken down into quarters.
Okay. Thank you, Councilwoman Hyatt. Ms. Watson, was that it?
Not really, but we can move on.
Any other questions from the public? Madam Clerk, could you just check the chat box to see if anybody has questions in there?
Mindy Moskowitz said she had a comment. Frankly, it's not senior citizens. No one can afford an additional 1 to 2K in additional taxes.
Is that just a comment? She doesn't want to talk then, right?
That's a comment. No one else has a raised hand.
Okay.
I think we're done.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to close public comments, please?
Motion to close?
Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you to the public. Sorry, resolutions. Forgive me, I gotta go back to my phone. I think we had R 25 151.
145, Council President.
145. I'm sorry. Resolution authorizing sewer use charges for 2025. This was tabled, so first I need a motion to untable that.
So move.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any questions from the council to on table R 25-145? All right, seeing none. Can I get a motion to
But Council President, you either
Yeah.
need to say all in favor or have a roll call.
roll call?
Banano,
Yes.
Fierstein,
Yes.
Garrettson,
Yes.
Hyatt,
Yes, and could someone please say what the resolution is?
it's R 25-145, resolution authorizing sewer user charges for 2025.
Okay, did we receive the information that was requested?
Yes, we have. I've sent it out in the last 2 packets.
Okay, so they've explained to us why they're charging one commercial property about 89 to 90% of the
All right.
cost that joint meeting is charging us?
We're on roll call, right?
Yeah, we're in a roll call.
And roll call.
No.
Council Vice President Rios,
Yes.
Council President Epps.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, motion to accept resolution authorizing sewer usage charges for 2025. Can I get a motion? Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Can I get a second? Is there a second? All right, seeing none, no second. I'll second it. Any questions from the council? No questions. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Banano,
Yes.
Fierstein,
Abstain.
Garrettson, Dr. Garrettson,
Frozen.
Come back to her.
okay. Councilwoman Hyatt,
No.
Joyner,
Yes.
Dr. Garrettson, Vice President Rios,
Yes.
Council President Epps.
Yes.
All right. Dr. Garrettson. I think we lost Dr. Garrettson.
All right,
All right. It was 4-2.
thank you. R 25-151, resolution authorizing the award of a professional services contract to Hector for the preparation of a 5-year development zone planning for Hillside Urban Development Zone, Enterprise Zone. This was tabled. I need a motion to untable that.
Motion on table.
Is there a second? All right, seeing none. Moving on, R 25-153, resolution authorizing the acceptance of a grant award from the Union County Year 5 Community Development Block Grant Year 5, CDBG grant for Hillside. Sorry, reading from this phone, I do apologize. Grant for Hillside Senior Center generators
I move to
upgrade,
accept the grant from Union County for the
$40,000. Got a motion, can I get a second? I'll second it. Any questions from council? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, roll call.
Banano,
Abstain.
Fierstein,
Yes.
Garrettson. Is she back yet?
No, not back.
Hyatt,
Yes.
Joyner,
Yes.
Vice President Rios,
Yes.
Council President Epps,
Yes.
carried.
R25, we're on 155, right?
Yes.
Madam Clerk, could you read that? I can't read this effectively from my phone.
Okay, no problem. That was 154. This
Okay.
is 150.
And you,
I'm
and I,
sorry.
please
Sorry.
log me for a yes for the last vote for the CDBG. My phone was not obviously connecting, but I'm back up.
Okay, I'm sorry. Council President, we just did 153. We're doing 154.
Okay, thank you.
And Dr. Garrison is noted as a yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
And the title for Resolution R25-154, a resolution authorizing emergency budget appropriation for a grant award from the Union County Year 51 Community Development Block Grant, Year 51 CDBG Grant for Hillside Senior Center generators upgrade in the amount of $40,000.
Thank you. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Can I get a
Second.
second? Any questions from council?
Can we get clarity for what this is for?
Attorney Montilla's on? Or, I'm sorry, Ms. Smith, do you have any background on this?
Yeah. Yes, Council President, this is to insert the $40,000 into the budget for the grant that was awarded for a generator at the senior center.
Council President, I'm sorry, I missed it. I meant for the next one. Go ahead. I'm okay on this one.
Okay. Any other questions from council in reference to this one? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Bonanno,
Abstain.
Fierstein,
Yes.
Garrison,
Yes.
Hyatt,
Yes.
Joyner,
Yes.
Vice President Rios,
Yes.
Epps, Council President Epps,
Yes.
carried.
All right, Madam Clerk, could you read the rest of them, please?
Sure. Resolution R25-155, a resolution authorizing the acceptance of a grant award from the Union County Year 51 Community Development Block Grant, Year 51 CDBG Grant for Hillside Roadway Rehabilitation in the amount of $97,500.
Can I get a motion, please?
Motion.
Can I get a second? Any questions from council?
Yeah. We just get clarity on what this one is. Sorry.
Ms. Smith, could you give us clarity on this one, please?
It's the block grant for 97,000.
This is another CDBG grant for road improvements. I can't recall what street it is, but it's for 97,500 to resurface the street. I have to pull up the application with to get the street name because I can't recall right now. I will connect.
Thank you. Any other questions from council? I see none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Bonanno, Councilwoman Bonanno?
All right, come back to her.
Okay. Fierstein,
Yes.
Garrison,
Yes.
Councilwoman Bonanno? I see her trying.
Muted.
Okay. Councilwoman Hyatt,
Yes.
Councilman Joyner,
Yes.
Council Vice President Rios,
Yes.
Council President Epps,
Yes.
Councilwoman Bonanno is having difficulties, but she did. You abstain? Yes, she abstained.
You abstain?
She abstained.
Okay. All right, fine. Move on, please.
Resolution R25-156, a resolution authorizing emergency budget appropriation for a grant award from the Union County Year 51 Community Development Block Grant, Year 51 CDBG Grant for Hillside Roadway Rehabilitation in the amount of $97,500.
Can I get a motion, please?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions from council? right, seeing none, Madam Clerk, roll call.
Sorry,
Banana?
sorry,
Abstain?
Oh, sorry, Councilman Fierce.
can you just, this is which resolution, R 25?
156, the emergency appropriation for the 97.5.
Thank you. Yes.
Councilman Fierce? Yes. Councilwoman Garrettson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Hyatt?
Yes.
Councilman Joyner?
Yes.
Council Vice President Rios?
Yes.
Councilman Epps? Council
Yes.
President Epps?
Yes,
Carried.
thank you. R 25-156, I'm sorry, Madam Clerk, read that, please. I'm sorry.
Yes. Resolution tax authorizing Township of Hillside tax collector to prepare and mail estimated tax bills in accordance with Public Law 1994, Chapter 72.
And get a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion. Second.
Any questions from council?
Yes.
Yes.
Councilwoman Dr. Garrison.
Oh, God. Yes.
Councilwoman Dr. Garrison,
Yes.
you had a question?
No, I do not.
I had a question. Hyatt had a question.
Oh, I apologize. Councilwoman Hyatt, I apologize. Can't
Thank
see.
you. Thank you, Council President. The estimated tax bill will go out with what percentage of tax?
It'll be based on the 2024 rate.
It'll be based on last year's rate? The
Yes.
6.2% increase?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from council?
Yeah, just quickly, but Glenn, the total here is 76 million. The estimated tax levy for 2025 is hereby set at 76 million. That's 6% above.
I'm sorry, Councilman, that's the entire levy.
Right.
Township, Board of Ed, county, open
Oh, I
space,
see. Okay.
library.
Understood. Okay. Got it.
Any other
Thank you.
questions from council? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Banana?
Yes.
Fierce?
Yes.
Garrettson?
Yes.
Hyatt?
Yes.
Joyner?
Yes.
Vice President Rios?
Yes.
Council President Epps?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Could you read the next one, please, Madam Clerk?
Resolution R 25-158, resolution authorizing tax refund overpayment.
Can I get a motion, please?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions from council? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, roll call.
Banana?
Yes.
Fierce?
Yes.
Garrettson?
Yes.
Hyatt?
Yes.
Joyner?
Yes.
Vice President Rios?
Yes.
Council President Epps?
Yes.
Motion carried.
R 25-159, Madam Clerk, could you read that, please?
Resolution authorizing refund of premiums for tax sale certificates.
Can I get a motion on that, please?
Motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any questions from council? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Banana?
Yes.
Fierce?
Yes.
Garrettson?
Yes.
Hyatt?
Yes.
Joyner?
Yes.
Vice President Rios?
Yes.
Council President Epps?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Madam Clerk, please read the next one.
Resolution R 25-160, authorizing emergency temporary budget appropriation for total sum of $7,949,707.
Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any questions from the council?
Council President, so this is a motion to approve all of the temporary budget for all the salaries and wages, including O&E for how long, Glenn? It's for 2 months?
Yes, Council President, Councilman Furusing, this is for July and August.
Yeah, I would have a problem with this in that we haven't had the budget discussion yet. And I think we could look at this on a payroll by payroll basis. My recommendation would be to only pay. Well, let me say it like this. My recommendation would be to pass this for the salaries for the coming payroll period, not including the administration's office, the finance office, and the economic development office.
Okay, those are the amendments you want to propose to this resolution?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll point out, Council President, that if I can't pay one, I can't pay any. And you guys have to come back and have a meeting basically next week to approve the next payroll. There are three
Right,
payrolls in July.
What is your explanations for what you just said about if you can't pay one, you can't pay any?
You want
that
to not pay
Is
certain
that illegal?
departments.
What you just, I'm sorry, let me restate that. What you stated was, is that a legal explanation of what you just said, or is that just your opinion?
I'm saying that that is lining us up for litigation. If you remember in the past, there were certain individuals that were restricted from pay, and they went to wage an hour at the state, and they won because not paying them was not legal. So you don't want to pay certain departments. That's not legal.
Council President, if I may.
Yeah, Attorney Matilis.
I apologize. And I think I had sent a message to the clerk that I had to sign off. I had communication issues, but I'm back. I couldn't agree more with CFO Jones. That what's referred to in the law as disparate treatment would never, ever uphold in a court of law. There's no way you can separate paying certain employees and not paying others. There's no way you can do that. So it's either you pay them all or you don't.
Councilor First Thing?
Yeah, I would recommend then if we have to amend it, I'd amend it.
Thank you.
to one
Sorry
payroll,
about that.
Not three payroll periods. Hopefully the administration can revise the budget before then.
Okay, I couldn't hear you with some talk. Could you restate that, please?
I said I would amend my change to approve this for only one payroll period and not the three until the administration revises the budget.
Received. Any other questions or comments from the council in reference to this?
Yeah.
Councilwoman Garrison?
Yes.
No, you had a question? We're not taking vote right now.
No, I know. I did not have a question.
Okay. Any other council members, questions, comments?
Yes.
Councilwoman Hyatt?
Thank you, Council President. I just want us to be clear on what we're voting on because I am not sure what was just stated would be the modification to what was presented.
It would be for the full 1 month, correct? I believe they said that we can't separate and it wasn't going to be 2 months. So wasn't the modification for 1 month, Chairman of Finance?
1 month for everyone.
It was for one payroll period. So
One payroll period.
2 weeks, yeah.
There was discussion, but the recommendation was one payroll period, my understanding.
Okay. So do we need to, how do we speak that properly for the motion, Madam Clerk or Township Attorney? How do we say that?
Well, I don't know exactly what lines are incorporated into the S&W for all departments. The CFO Jones would have to tell you which lines that incorporates.
I have one question in reference to the amendment. That one payroll period, is that for the month or are we just talking about the next paycheck? Councilman First Thing.
I would do it for one payroll period, which I thought was 2 weeks.
2 weeks, okay.
And so with that, there's a payroll that's scheduled to go in today, right, Mr. Jones?
That's correct, Councilwoman. So for July, we're scheduled to be paid on the 3rd, the 17th, and the 31st.
So just so that we're clear, the proposal is to make the payroll that's currently due. Am I understanding correctly?
Correct.
Correct.
And we would be having a meeting again when to address this?
2 more meetings you would have to have this month.
It could be no more meetings if the budget is revised.
Right, if the budget is approved.
All right, so we got to call a special meeting in between between this period and the next pay period.
CFO Jones, when would the next pay period, you need to have a meeting by, so I can call for a date?
Right, that's where I'm going.
So I would suggest that you have one on the 8th and the 22nd.
All right. Do you have the amount that we're paying today? Because it's not this amount, so we can adjust the amount, we reflect the amount that we're paying today on record.
Council President, I would have to go through the spreadsheet and do it all over again. You're asking me to do this, last minute at a meeting. We don't have an introduced budget. To be quite honest, at this pace, we won't have an adopted budget until August. So I would suggest we do, July and August, but, it's council's pleasure.
I mean, ironically, you sound a little upset because it's the last minute, but you do this to us all the time. Okay, so we still need a number, so we know what number you're working with. So when can you get that to the finance chair? Later on today? Because you're going to do it today so the people can get paid, right?
I have to.
Okay. So when you get that number, could you forward that number to the finance chair and he can forward it to the rest of the council?
I will send it through the clerk.
I appreciate that.
Council President, you have to have a number to vote. I mean, I defer to Attorney Montillis, but if you're gonna vote on an amended bill list, you have to do it on an amended temporary emergency. You have to do it in the moment. So we need a number.
CFO Jones, you can't do a number on the calculator real quick for one pay period?
It's going to take a few minutes. You guys want to just hang out?
I mean, I know I'm at work, but
We got no choice.
I have one other question.
You should be able to run the last pay run and look at the numbers to get, what the payroll is. We should actually know what our payroll is, with the exception of overtime, regularly and consistently. It's not a number we should have to calculate
Agreed.
every time the discussion comes up.
And if it's an emergency appropriation, couldn't we add the 35,000 that we've been talking about if we added a special line item? And I believe the auditor is on, maybe he can clarify that for us while Glenn is looking for the numbers we already have for payroll.
Yeah, I would only say that if we have a temporary resolution with contained within those salary lines would be what you need for salaries, you would calculate that number and you'd have the component pieces of it. So hopefully CFO Jones can find that number fairly quickly, because it almost has to be contained within the resolution they put out there in the first place. But that's all I say about that.
Mr. Switzer, I think, and correct me, Council.
Thank you. No, but that's part of it, but thank you, Chairman. Yes, ask the second question.
While we have you and while Glenn's looking, we were discussing, and what we're trying to do is figure out how to pay a vendor who had done work for us in 2024 and has not been paid to date. So is there a way to pay that vendor at this time?
Yeah,
With the temporary budget, with the temporary
budget, absolutely. There's a mechanism within the budget law that allows you to appropriate for the payment of a prior year bill. It goes to a certain section of the budget under deferred charges, and you would put down prior year bill, you list down the vendor, and then you put in this. You would amend your temporary budget right now. That would be the process to get this bill paid and have an appropriation for it, because you can't pay something without an appropriation. But you put that into your temporary budget, you pay the bill, and then that has to, once it's in that temporary budget, you pay that bill, it has to be part and parcel of your final budget, regardless of the deliberations that go on subsequently.
CFO Jones, are we good on that? Can we add that?
35,000.
I think Glenn just jumped back on. Glenn, the question was, if you have a bill from the prior year, okay, the mechanism in the budget law is you would have a line item payment of prior year bills under the deferred charges section of the budget. You put that into your temporary emergency appropriation, which you were just discussing. That would give you an appropriation to pay the bill, and then once that's done, that part of the budget then has to then be included, once you pay that, into the final budget. That's the mechanism to do it.
So you're saying do a separate line item and not add it to the actual line item?
We've done it in the past several times. You've had prior year bills and lots of times in the past here. So yes, since the matching principle says that any costs, you can only charge costs to the 25 budget that are occurred in 25.
Are they gonna have,
Since this is a bill from the previous year, the state requires you to put it into a
will they
separate,
have these slides
separate
available
category,
for
which we've
us?
done in the past in Hillside. But in order to get that on the record, so you have an appropriation to charge, you would put that into your temporary emergency right now. And then you'd have the appropriation which you could charge, and then that has to become part of the final budget.
All right, Glenn, I would approve that if you're okay with that.
And this, again, this is in that budget anyway, so it seems to make sense to be able to expedite paying it now versus trying to delay it any longer.
So just looking at the document, we have a payment for joint sewer that has to be made in July. I can't cut that down to 1/5. That has to be the whole payment. And also, the group insurance, I can't touch that either. So whatever I come up with, those are still going to be included.
Okay.
Okay, give us the number. What's the number?
Council President,
Yes.
Fire Chief Carey sent an email over the weekend where he has a couple of emergencies, so he needs additional funding. Through you, I would like to ask the finance chairman, would you consider putting additional funding in O&E for fire and police?
When can that director come before the council?
I will consult with the administration.
Okay. What's the number, CFO Jones?
Still, I had to go through to see what the exceptions were. Just give me a second, please.
Okay.
Council President, while we're waiting, I believe Ms. Harris, our clerk, had a comment about a bill that has to be paid for the elections.
We have had to get petitions printed for the election, and those bills have to be paid or they will not print more petitions. And the bill was on it was on the June 11th bill list under the elections line item, $179.87.
Okay.
Can we make that part of this emergency budget?
Well, it's already budgeted. It's on a bill list that you didn't. The council did not.
After that to approve it?
Yeah.
Council President,
Ms. Smith?
through you to Finance Chairman Feuerstein, while you're looking at the bills list, on the bills list dated July June, this last bill list, there are receipts for a grant that has to be submitted for reimbursement on page 6. Maternal child health care, the amount of $15,459.82. We have to submit for reimbursement for the expenditures. Your consideration to approve those 5 bills could be considered. I'd appreciate it, so the township doesn't have to eat the cost.
Well, can you clarify what that's for?
These are for supplies and items purchased through our maternal child health grant through community development block grant year 50, which ends on June 30th. The grant period was shortened. It used to run from September 1st through August 31st, but now it runs from September 1st through June 30th. So all reimbursements must be submitted so we can be reimbursed what was already put out. It's on page 6 of last week's bill list.
Harrison, any thoughts on that? Darryl?
What was that?
I'm asking for consideration of payment of 5 bills so the township can get reimbursed $15,459.82 through the Community Development Block Grant Year 50 Maternal Child Health Care Grant, which ends today.
I'm fine with it.
All right, so are we gonna revisit the bill list after we finish this, or we're still on this, Madam Clerk, where we at, what number we on?
We are on 160, the temporary emergency budget.
All
CFO
right.
Jones is completing the calculation as
All
to
right,
the number.
after you finish the calculation, let's revisit the bill list for these items that's being talked about now, while we're waiting for
Council
the.
President, there's one more resolution. It's a tax resolution. It's 161.
Okay, after we finish that, we'll revisit the bill list, so we could talk about these bills that's being discussed now. Therefore, Jones, for the next meeting, the emergency meeting we have, please have these calculations prepared, because as we move, if you guys don't present a presentable budget, we can know exactly what we're looking at. We're going payroll by payroll at this point. Madam Clerk, can we move on to the next one until he gets the calculations? Can we come back to
Yes,
this?
President.
Let's move on to the next one, please, so he can come back. We come back to this. He had the numbers ready. Could you please read the next one?
Sure. It's authorizing a tax refund overpayment, R-25-161, for block 1714, lot 34.
Thank you. Can I get a motion on that, please?
Motion.
Can I get a second? Any questions from the council? All right, seeing none, we're voting on the, state that number again, Madam Clerk?
R-25-161, authorizing tax refund overpayment.
All right. Madam Clerk, take the roll call on this one.
Bonanno?
Yes.
Fierstein?
Yes.
Garrison,
Yes.
Hyatt,
Yes.
Joyner,
Yes.
Vice President Rios,
Yes.
Council President Epps.
Yes.
Motion carries.
CFO Jones, you still need more time? All right, I guess you still working on this.
Just a few more minutes, please. Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna go to bill list while you're doing that. Can I get a motion to, one second. Madam Clerk, do the bill list, reopen the bill list again, please. I can't read my agenda.
Okay, bill list.
Yes,
The bill lists were April 8th, April 22nd, May 13th, May 28th, June 11th, and June 25th.
all right. Can I get a motion for the payment of bills for that, please?
Motion.
That way we can discuss these bills that's being talked about now. I got a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, thank you. Madam Clerk, any discussion on the payment of bills? Councilman First Thing, bring up the bill you was talking about, and I don't know what other council members had some bills. I know, Ms. Harris, you had some bills you also you needed paid as well.
Yes, on the June 11th bill run, under the elections line item, $179.87 to the County of Union for petitions.
Okay, Councilman First Thing, you had one?
Rita, which page is that on this, on today's?
It's on the first page of the June 11th bill list.
Do you have the PDF page number?
Oh.
So I'm looking.
One moment, because I have to get through. There's all the bill lists were included in the packet.
Right, that's what I'm looking at.
And my computer just froze.
I'm looking at the report run June 4th.
Sorry, my computer froze. Nope, my computer is totally frozen.
The other bill, Councilman First Thing you were talking about, that's gonna be included in the temporary budget that he's submitting now?
The 34,000, right?
Okay. Ms. Harris, any other bills need to be paid in the clerk's office?
That's the most pressing bill for the clerk's office.
Okay. Any other questions from the council just to approve? Right now, the only thing I see is the June 11th, from the June 11th bill is that expense item that Ms. Harris has presented to us that we need for elections. Any other bills that need to be paid priority immediately from the council members' perspective, the finance committee's perspective?
Council President, I had asked for consideration from the June 25th meeting for reimbursement of a grant.
I'm sorry, Ms. Smith, you did. What line item and was that, Ms. Smith?
It's page 6, maternal child health care.
Okay, yeah.
Total
Okay.
amount $15,459.82.
Got you. Councilman First Thing, your thoughts on that, please?
Okay, I see what you're talking about. I mean, again, it's like if the departments came to us, this makes it a lot easier. What happens if this doesn't get passed?
If this is not submitted for reimbursement, the township has to eat this $15,459.82.
As opposed to the grant doing it.
Yes.
I would approve it. I would approve it. So that
Okay.
that's the pay.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Smith. Anything else, Ms. Smith?
I mean, I think we got to keep the utilities and insurance on here, right?
We're still paying that, right? Utilities and everything?
Just want to make sure, yeah.
Okay. All right. So there's been a motion and a second to set the bill list as amended. with Ms. Smith's adjustments and also with Ms. Harris's adjustment for the elections. Madam Clerk, you take a roll call on that, please?
Yes. Bonanno?
Yes.
Piercy?
Yes, as amended.
Garrison?
Yes, as amended.
Hyatt?
Yes.
Joyner?
Yes.
Vice President Rios?
Yes.
Council President Epps?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. CFO Jones, you still need a little bit more time?
You're muted, Glenn.
I can't hear him.
He's
Smith,
muted.
are you by CFO Jones?
I'm ready now. I'm sorry, I was muted. I'm ready.
Ready? What's the amount, sir?
So the inside caps amount is $3,501,776. $3,501,776.
And what is that covering?
That's the salaries and the O&E. Also insurance. The outside caps is
Glenn,
unchanged because those are quarterly expenses. So that remains the $1,254,327 for a total of $4,756,103.
Glenn, was the total the 3 million or the 4 million?
The 3 million is inside caps,
salaries and the outside.
3,501,776. And you add the outside caps of 1,254,327 for a total of $4,756,103.
Is overtime included in this?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so that was Ms. Smith, sorry, Ms. Harris. Could you read that number that we left off?
Okay, this is resolution R 25-160, authorizing emergency temporary budget appropriation for a amended total of $4,756,103.
Thank you. We already had a motion in a second, correct?
Yeah, but that was for the original, so we need, if they would like to rescind their motions and make it for as amended.
Can we say as amended, or we got to rescind the motions?
You can say
You
as
have to
amended.
resend.
Yeah,
No, you have to resend.
you should
We
rescind.
got to rescind. Who made the motion, Ms. Harris?
Motion by Council Vice President Rios, second by Joyner.
I'll rescind my motion.
I rescind also.
Thank you. Can I get a motion with the amended? Read the total, Ms. Harris.
As amended, $4,756,103.
Thank you. Can I get a motion for that, please?
Motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any questions from council?
Council President,
Councilwoman Bonanno?
just one more time, what was the original amount for?
$7,949,707.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Patricia.
All right. Any other questions from council? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, roll call on this.
Bonanno?
No.
Piercy?
Yes.
Garrison?
Yes.
Hyatt?
Yes.
Joyner?
Yes.
Vice President Rios?
Yes.
Council President Epps?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. What's next on the agenda, Madam Clerk?
Next on the agenda, you already did public comment. It would be council remarks.
Council remarks. Councilwoman Hyatt. Councilwoman Hyatt. Councilwoman Bonanno.
Just a thank you for those that came out tonight. Thank you to my council counterparts, and let the work begin. I voted no for the budget. I voted no for the bills. I just don't think they're getting the seriousness of what we're facing. And I think we have some troubles ahead. So, say prayers.
Thank you. Councilwoman
Thank you.
Dr. Angela Garrison.
No comment.
Councilman Firstein.
Just want to close with this one thought. As we're going through this process, hopefully the administration can go back and make some adjustments. And just so the people understand, just because the council's presented with the budget, it's sort of just handing over a giant problem for the council to fix, which sounds a little bit crazy to me. So I'm hoping that over the next week, the administration can revisit, and certainly we have found some areas that could be fixed and need tweaking. We hope that they will find them too, and really sharpen the pencil for the benefit of the taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Hyatt.
Council President, did you call me?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, it's a lot of noise in here.
Okay, sorry. Apologize.
Did you just call me right now? I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am. We're doing council remarks.
Oh, I apologize. Is it my turn?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Council President. First, I want to thank all the residents for participating in the call, especially in the middle of the day. And I would hope that residents recognize that a lot of what you see taking place is what could happen behind closed doors at finance committee meetings and or at directors meetings with the council if those things were operating properly and effectively. And so council members have tried at every turn to do these things in a way that is correct, but they just continue to be met with opposition. So a lot of these conversations that you are having to endure are because they can't get the information any other way. They can't get the conversations to the level that they need them any other way. And some residents had questions that were not answered during public comments. And there were some questions related to who was responsible for who was responsible for X, Y, and Z. I know
Council President, I'm not
it's not
sure if
easy
that's,
to understand, but those types of penalties and things, or the administration by the state of New Jersey question was answered and someone responded. Hello, so I'll make it short. Thank you all for coming out. I would say to everyone, please pay close attention to what's happening with your taxes, with the tax increases. And if we're saying that blame is being assessed or we're pointing fingers or things like that, the easiest way to find out who is responsible for what is by literally going into your Google search engine and typing in the Faulkner Act. When you look at the Faulkner Act, it will tell you who is responsible for what. And once we all have a full understanding of that, we won't feel like people are pointing the finger or shifting blame, because we would then have an understanding of where the responsibility to complete things lies. So that would help. Thank you so much. Thank you, Council President. That concludes my comments. Everybody have a great afternoon.
Councilman Joyner.
All I want to say is thank you to everyone as well. And we need to get on board and get this budget in order so we could pass it and the residents could see that we're doing our job.
Thank you. Council VP Rios.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you for everyone coming out today. And I hope to see the community and everyone that was on this call and everyone else that has questions at the budget presentation that the administration will do. Let your voices be heard, get the information there. And yeah, thank you for your time today. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Rios. Again, I want to thank the public for joining us in this Zoom meeting. Thank you to my finance committee, who is working tirelessly with this budget. They have their hands full and their works cut out for them, but we have some capable council members on that committee, and I'm sure they're doing their best at what was given to them. Thank the public who came out to our last meeting that we had live. I received a lot of calls in reference to the township attorney's behavior and why I did not correct his behavior as to what he was doing to our citizens and ignoring them, and why I did not correct it. For the record, I felt as though what was going on taking place about the budget and hearing the citizens' concerns was more important than any individual behavior at the time. And even if I had proactively corrected his behavior, which I do disagree with as a professional, I thought it was very unprofessional. That wasn't the priority at the time. The priority was hearing the concerns of the citizens and the residents. So anybody who took offense to me not taking a more proactive approach towards put it quite bluntly, the ignorance of a professional and the insensitivity of a professional to what was going on, I do apologize. But the priority was at that time for me was hearing the concerns and the residents and the citizens of the township.
Chairman, excuse me, when is the budget meeting?
I think the mayor's having one the 14th.
Thank you.
And we will try to get that information out as far as what the mayor is giving out. We'll get that out to the public the best we can. And again, we're working on this to the public. We're working on this. We're doing our very best. And I want to just say thank you for coming out, and thank you to all my council members who also are enduring the pain that the citizens are at this time with this proposed budget. Thank you. Everybody have a good day. Good day. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Everybody have a great day.
All right.